Typical, you got options. You got a little point of use thing that you can put under your sink, your kitchen sink. It's an ultraviolet. Here we have a series of things where you have your first 20 micron filter, then you have a 5 micron, and what that does is then it takes care of any kind of tannin color to your water. It kind of clarifies it and any kind of fine particulate. And then we run it through an ultraviolet. And then if there's still a flavor issue, taste issue or odor, then later you'd want to have maybe a carbon filter closer to the point of use. The interesting thing is that if you don't maintain either of these, the carbon filter, things like that, then you can actually have problems with the contaminating your water supply just from unmaintained filters. A large industrial grade, say for a commercial building, you'd want to use something like this. This is Atlantic ultraviolet. The key thing is that you need to maintain a less than a maximum flow through these things so you have a contact time. Examples, Georgetown, Bermuda is pretty much a sole source of rainwater. This is a Smithsonian Marine Research Center in Bocas del Toro, Panama. This is a totally off-grid building in that you have those funny-looking shingles on the roof are photovoltaic shingles. It's rainwater catchment. It's composting toilets. Then the rainwater then goes out and waters the garden that you see there. This is a hotel we stayed at there. Basically the same sort of thing. It's rainwater. It's on an island there. Volcanic soil there, so you can't dig down and get wells very easily. This is a post office in Kona, Hawaii. We asked a silly question, well, why don't you dig wells down there or run distribution lines? And they say, well, we're built on a volcano rock, and we're pretty much, dig down too far, you're going to hit the volcano. This is a high-end home. Again, this is totally a very high-end residential area near where we had our conference. The water tank is camouflaged within the what you're seeing there in front of you, and they can be exposed like we saw. In Hawaii, they had the regulation that you could, if it was a commercial situation, you could use the rainwater. If it was a food situation, then you had to use bottled water. But pretty much everything else, rainwater was permissible. What we have here is a greenhouse. You can see that the water comes off the drain, goes into the drain, goes into this, basically it's roofing felt, and it basically comes out in a shallow well pump and then goes back into water the greenhouse. And this is basically Lopez Island School. Had a situation where the school worked fine for a number of years. They had saltwater intrusion into their water supply. So the state of Washington said if you can meet the water quality of the utility water, then we'll let you use rainwater, which they did. It's one of the bigger filter systems in the country, using bag filters, ultraviolet, and chlorination, and 1.5 million gallons a year. That pretty much concludes it. I think rainwater is an attractive alternative to not having any water at all. It basically, as we said, if you've got no water, bad water, or you just don't have much water, rainwater is an attractive alternative that I think time will come as we see increased scarcity and increased demand for water.
Yes, in sizing the system, do you think that the stormwater tables that we have in any of the model codes would be easily adaptable to sizing for rainwater systems such as this?
Well, I think there's maybe an implied precision that doesn't exist in designing a rainwater system. As we all know, it kind of, from season to season, it can change significantly. So I think if you run all your numbers, there's a little bit of art in the business where you think, as we say in Indiana, you put a little Kentucky windage on it. If you, again, if you've got an alternative to mains water, or somebody can deliver water, you could maybe kind of trim it a little bit skinny. But if you absolutely have no option but rainwater, then you maybe want to have maybe 20–30% safety factor. So it becomes kind of a judgment call. What all the statistics are going to do are just kind of land you in a ballpark.
And to help answer the question too, a lot of the stuff you'll see in the codes for rainwater are for collecting and getting it off the roof, and they are maximum precipitation rates, not the median, which is very important. Precipitation rate that Bob mentioned up there. It's a matter of statistics, but
Now, that's a very good point, Bill. Thank you for pointing that out, that a lot of time you're talking about 100-year 15-minute rates or 100-year hour rates, things like that, and that's not necessarily what you need to design a rainwater system. What you really like to have is as we showed in that spreadsheet, month by month, showing what you can expect, and use something like that that would then show you some carryover from the next month if you had, for the dry, just to get an idea what it was going to take to carry you through the dry season.
Do you run into many water right issues with rain catchment systems?
It's very spotty. In the case of Colorado, somebody pointed out it's against the law to intercept the rain because you're violating some very archaic Western water laws. Somebody told me that if you want to have your kids support you in your old age, you want to set them off to law school and have them specialize in Western water rights. It's very problematic. And even in Dayton, Ohio, we had somebody in one of our presentations say that if anybody sees a cistern, they'll give you a citation for having a cistern in your backyard, because the local utilities are very much worried about, and correctly so, that you're going to contaminate the municipal water supply. Washington State had similar regulations, but I'm told from some of our ARCSA friends that that's starting to change somewhat, that it's becoming a little bit more enlightened as to the use of rainwater. So to answer your question, it varies, and in any case, I think it's going to be any kind of project you kind of bring, you think about, you're going to have to bring on the local authorities early on to get their approval early rather than later.
If there were residential package systems that are being sold in the Midwest or out West, anywhere?
The J.R. Smith people, the little diagram I showed you that was the WISI thing, if you look on there, J.R. Smith / Rainwater, they will pretty much sell you the kit. They'll sell you the filter, whether you have a light duty or medium or heavy duty, whether it's above ground, below ground. They'll sell you the water pickup, the variable speed pump, and the whole kit. So that's something that has happened in the last year.